It all started when a former Democratic candidate for lieutenant governor of Nevada called out one-time Vice President Joe Biden for unwanted touching. Now, a total of 7 women have come forward with the same complaint. While no one doubts it happened, some are questioning whether it's that big of a story. Lucy Flores says she was on stage about to make a political speech when Vice President Joe Biden approached her from behind.
He smelled my hair, and then he leaned in further and planted this slow kiss on the top of my head.
After first telling her story in thecut.com, Flores has made the media rounds, and she told Jake Tapper the press has been too easy on Biden.
Over the years, as this behavior was documented, as it was frankly dismissed by the media and not taken seriously.
Now at least 7 women have come forward complaining about Biden's hugs that went a beat too long, pulling a young intern to his face to rub foreheads, and other kisses to the back of the head.
He has been known over the years to be very affectionate, flirtatious even, in kind of a safe way, if I can say. Do you disagree?
And now some are wondering whether it's worth all the coverage. A New York Times op-ed by a Rutgers University media professor says the question for journalists is whether these charges should become grounds for feeding frenzies, stories that signal to audiences that they outweigh everything else about a candidate.
Amy Lapos saying he rubbed noses with her in 2009.
Something Joe Biden admits to in a 2-minute response to the allegations.
It's just who I am. And I've never thought of politics as cold and antiseptic.
Now might be a good time to start. I really think Lucy Flores is onto something. Nobody in the media really ever picked this up as a story, as a theme. Sure, they saw pictures, and there was a lot of things that were always kind of said about Joe behind his back, creepy Joe and all that kind of stuff, but nobody actually really wrote a story about it. Part of me feels like they're making up for lost time, which is why this thing is just taken off. People, yes, have come out to say this happened to them too. All believable, all credible. But it doesn't rise to the level of so many of the stories that we've covered, especially some of the things we've seen with media executives, or frankly, President Trump, but yet it's getting that kind of attention.
Well, I've been thinking about this quite a bit, and when people call it a feeding frenzy, I don't know that I would call it that. It seems to me that the coverage has been reasonably nuanced, but everybody wants to have their take. And so when you get all of these stories together, it kind of looks like a feeding frenzy, even though everybody's just kind of doing their own thing. I don't want to say it's not a big deal, because I think we have to listen to the women who he was touching and listen to whether they're saying it's a big deal. But it does seem to me that nobody's talking about this being sexual in any way or anything like that. I think it just plays into this notion that his time is come and gone, and this is an old-fashioned type of touchy-feely
politics. And it's
politics.
A power thing, though.
And it's a power thing, and people don't like it anymore. Yeah. They never did, but now they're talking about it.
I think as for the feeding frenzy, everything is a feeding frenzy these days, right? It's not just this kind of story. Everything gets over-covered. Having said that, I think part of the problem, and I've known it, my wife has known him for quite a while. I know him fairly well. And the reason I never saw it as a problem was because he touches men the same way. I mean, he was, if you're having a conversation with you, I joke that, I'm African American, but I had black and blue marks on my arm because when he's talking to you, he's always hitting you like this. I was on the way to Iraq with him one time. For 45 minutes, he sat on the arm of the chair in front of me on the plane and just kept, had his hand on my shoulder, squeezing it, punching you to make a point. That's how he is, and I think that's the reason it didn't. I figured, okay, this is how he is with men and with women. Right. Like Dan, though, I respect, if someone feels that he crossed the line, I completely respect that, but that's sort of my own personal experience with him.
I agree with Dan, and I agree with former vice president. This is who he is, and you can like it or you can not like it, but it's not sexual, it's not gender-based. It's not even really harassment. It's just a boundary issue, in my view. And look, you have a lot of people from different cultures. My family is from Puerto Rico. They kiss everybody as soon as, that's how they say hello. Their hands are all over everybody, male, female, or otherwise. It's a warm culture, right? And so different people from different cultures treat people differently. It's only discriminatory or you know, if you're doing it to one sex with ill intent or in an oddly sexual way. That said, I have a little bit of Schadenfreude here, watching the left eat one of their own, particularly when this is a man who spearheaded what I think were egregious regulations that deprived people of due process on college campuses over sexual assault on campus. He was right out there, you know, pressing the Department of Education and the Obama administration to implement those regulations, and now the chickens have come home to roost.
And of course he had the episode with Anita Hill where he was tough on her too.
All right, so everybody on the panel has said something right that I agree with. So let me underscore a few things, though, that I think are very important. First of all, whatever his intention was does not matter. It's whether my intention was. I don't care that he's warm and fuzzy with men and women. If I didn't invite it in, then that's not okay. Inappropriate does not have to rise to the level of sexual harassment, but it is a gateway to that. So many people touching, feeling, squeezing, whatever, next step, then they, cornering you in a room. That's just how it goes. That's how it's been forever. And I like the guy. Don't get me wrong. It seems like a nice guy. Never met him. But it is not okay for him. And lots of people didn't feel comfortable saying anything because what? He's the former vice president of the United States. He's a big guy. They're small people. Where is their voice? So we have to get to understand that Me Too is just not about Harvey Weinstein. It begins with inappropriate. Inappropriate means
we're talking about media coverage, so does it rise
yes,
to that
it does.
level?
You know why? Because frankly, I'm surprised you didn't mention this, Jennifer. It's a political thing at this point.
No, they admit that.
Well, no, but I'm saying that's why then, because the timing of it is everything.
It's been weaponized.
Christine Blasey Ford's testimony was relevant and got so much attention because of Kavanaugh in that moment. Right. So the moment is he's thinking, am I running, am I not running? So that's why people are more and more and more and more. And Dan is right, but it's also people trying to have their take. So nothing anybody had said here is wrong, but we need to understand that this is a serious conversation to be had, and I'd like to see in all of the conversations that we have seen, drilling down to really what's underneath that. Do not dismiss it. Mika Brzezinski, you are not correct.
No.
It's not okay.
I think you're right on that.
All right.